Hello everyone, and welcome back to our channel. Today, we're journeying deep into the past, not just by years or centuries, but by millennia. We're going to explore one of humanity's oldest and the most profound forms of expression, cave art. Our story begins in the shadows of an ancient cave, where a single, haunting image on the wall tells a story 40,000 years in the making. Imagine this, deep within the earth, the air is cool and still. The only light comes from the flickering flame of a torch, casting dancing shadows on the uneven rock walls. In this flickering light, we see a shape, a deep, earthy red against the polished stone. It's a handprint, not a painting of a hand, but the ghostly outline of one. This isn't a modern artist's creation. This is a message from the dawn of human consciousness. This particular type of art, known as a hand stencil, is found all over the world, from the caves of El Castillo in Spain to the dramatic rock shelters of Australia. But some of the most ancient and evocative examples are found in places like the Layang-Layang caves on the island of Sulawesi, Indonesia. These stencils have been dated to be at least 40,000 years old, pushing back the timeline of when we thought humans began creating art. How did they do it? Let's reconstruct the moment. A person, perhaps a young woman, stands before the wall. In one hand, she holds a hollow bone or a reed. In her mouth, she has a liquid pigment, a rich, red ochre mixed with water or spit. She places her other hand flat against the cool, rough surface of the cave wall. Then, she takes a deep breath and blows the pigment through the tuba, creating a fine spray that coats the rock around her hand. When she pulls her hand away, its negative image remains, a perfect silhouette. Her mark, her presence, forever captured in stone. For us, a handprint might be a simple gesture, something a child does with paint. But for these early humans, this was something much more profound. It wasn't just art for art's sake. It was a powerful act, filled with meaning and purpose. Think about it, in a world without writing, without photographs, how do you say it was here? How do you leave a permanent mark of your existence? This handprint was a signature. It was a declaration of identity, a connection between a fleeting individual life and the eternal rock of the earth. When we see these stencils, we often find dozens, even hundreds, together. Men, women, and even children left their marks. It's like a prehistoric family album, or a community guestbook written on the walls of their sacred spaces. It's a deeply human impulse, this desire to connect and to be remembered. It is the same impulse that makes us carve our initials into a tree or write our names in wet cement. It's a way of saying, it existed, it mattered, but the meaning likely went even deeper than that. For many ancient cultures, the world was alive with spirits. The rocks, the animals, the water, they all had a spiritual essence. The walls of the cave weren't just blank canvases. They were membranes, a veil between the physical world and the spirit world. By placing a hand on the rock and leaving its trace, these people might have been trying to connect with those spirits, to touch the other side. It could have been a prayer, a ritual to gain power from the spirit world, or a way to ask for protection from the guardians of the cave. The hand, the tool with which we shape our world, became a bridge to an unseen one. Alongside the hands, we find other images. Majestic animals, bison, horses, deer seem to gallop across the stone. We see scenes of the hunt, with tiny human figures holding spears. These weren't just records of daily life, like a grocery list of what they hunted. These paintings were likely part of hunting rituals. By painting an animal, they might have believed they were capturing its spirit, ensuring a successful hunt. It was a form of sympathetic magic. What you do to the image, you do to the real thing. The painting wasn't just a picture of a bison. In a way, it was the bison spirit, brought into the sacred space of the cave. These images formed the very first chapters of human storytelling. Long before the invention of writing, this was our first language of symbols. A handprint meant us, human. A painting of a deer meant food, life, the spirit of the wild. These simple images were the ancestors of hieroglyphs, the great-grandparents of the alphabet you're reading right now. They were learning to communicate complex ideas, identity, community, spirituality, hope across time. What's truly astonishing is the continuity. The pigments they used were simple minerals, red and yellow ochre, black manganese or charcoal, ground into a powder and mixed with a binder like animal fat or water. They created paints that have lasted for 40,000 years. Think about that, 40 millennia. These paintings have survived ice ages, the rise and fall of countless civilizations, and the entire span of recorded history. They are the most durable story ever told. So, when we stand in front of a cave painting today, What are we really seeing? We are not just looking at ancient art. We are having a conversation. We are receiving a message sent from a world that is almost unimaginably distant and different from our own. Yet, the message is instantly familiar. It's a message of creativity, of community, of a deep spiritual connection to the natural world. And most powerfully, it's a message of shared humanity. The person who left that red handprint on the wall in Sulawesi lived a life we can barely fathom. They faced dangers we can't imagine and saw a world we will never see. But when they placed their hand against that rock, they felt the same fundamental human desire that we all feel, the desire to connect, to be seen, and to be remembered. They were not gods or mythical beings. They were people, just like us. And their message, whispered across 40,000 years, simply says, we were here. Thank you so much for joining me on this journey into the deep past. If you found this as fascinating as I do, please hit that like button and consider subscribing for more stories about our incredible human history. Let me know in the comments what you think that handprint was trying to say. Until next time, stay curious.